I am deeply, deeply proud. It's not even proud. Truly, I thank God that I am an American, that I was born in this country that is the freest place ever. You've been to my house and my studio. I have a giant American flag sitting in there. It's about 5 foot by 8 foot. We've got the Constitution and the Bill of Rights on the wall in there too. I'm not doing that for theater.
So as Dave Rubin's grift continues, he keeps going further and further towards the right wing, saying things that he isn't an atheist anymore. He's not sure if he believes in God, maybe, getting way more pro-American, having people like Donald Trump Jr. on his show, platforming a load of awful conservatives. But recently he has said that he is not actually a classical liberal, really. He's actually a conservative. So he did an interview with a guy called Andrew Clavin, so I'm going to take some clips and to talk about them. But yeah, let's get into what the title of this video is. Here is Dave Rubin saying that he is actually a conservative now, surprising really no one.
But I don't consider myself a Democrat. I don't consider myself a Republican. Do I have far more in common with Republicans? Obviously. And to directly answer your question, I would say at this point, I've done a lot, I think, to save the word liberal. I think I've really tried, and I've been one of the people that have really tried to save it so that a guy like you or a guy like Ben Shapiro could say, yeah, in the true sense, I'm a classical liberal, and that really is modern conservatism. So I would say more than anything else, in a way, I'm a modern conservative. If conservatism is what I now believe it to be, that it isn't that you have to buy all of these ideas, but you can have some outlier ideas, but basically believe in the bedrock principles of America, then I would say I'm a modern conservative. And I would just say one other thing, which is that defending my liberal principles has become a conservative position.
The hero who saved the word classical liberal is now conservative. And to most people, there's not really much of a difference. Conservative, in my mind, the only difference it has from a classical liberal is conservatives are also defined by being a lot more socially conservative. But in terms of economics, it is pretty similar. Now, this interview was so boring to watch. Dave Rubin has a real talent for just saying a whole lot of nothing, but there was some interesting clips that gave an insight into who he really is, namely that he is a conservative because he's just really, really greedy. He just doesn't want to pay taxes. And he tries to talk about how it's not because of personal greed, it's not because he wants a yacht, but it does just come across that he is now a wealthy guy. And just like Elon Musk, he's talking about moving out of California, moving to another state where he can pay less tax. So let's take a look at this clip quick.
At the same time, I was also building a business here. And then when I would hear about why low taxes and getting rid of regulation, and these things are important, and then I'd start looking at the numbers and talking to my business manager and my accountant and everything else and realizing, man, we live, I mean, Andrew, you and I live in a state that is obscenely high taxed. Just in the last week, because of Corona, I've been sort of half joking about it, but it's becoming less of a joke, thinking about maybe it is time to get out of California. And we were crunching some numbers. And it's like the amount that I would save in a place like Florida or Texas or Washington or South Dakota, I mean, the places that have basically zero income tax. And it's not because I want a yacht, although I would be perfectly within my right to have a yacht. It's not that I want a yacht. We only have one car between the two of us. It's not that I want more stuff, but I know if my company is taxed less, if you get regulation out of the way, what can I do? You know what I would do? I would hire more people. We just hired a new associate producer in the middle of coronavirus because our business is doing well. And if you allow the government to get out of the way and allow you to keep what you earn, I'm pretty sure that everyone watching this knows what to do with their money better than the government does.
So in Dave Rubin's own words, if you live your life and become a pretty successful talking head for conservatives, make a lot of money, you will then start to get really, really greedy, start trying to work out ways how you have to pay as little tax as possible. Remember guys, Dave Rubin doesn't want more money for a yacht, but he'd be perfectly happy to get one. But you guys remember when Dave Rubin initially started the Rubin Report, he wasn't a conservative, he was a centrist, maybe centre-left personality, and he's just outlining here, as I got more successful, as I got more Koch brothers money, as I started platforming right-wingers, as I started my grift, I got more money. And then as I got more money, I worked out I could be making even more money if I moved states and I wouldn't have to pay tax anymore. And that is just such a great ideology, which I wish everyone could aspire to have. Now, of course, this ideology comes from a place of extreme privilege. You can say that everyone would, spend their money better than the government, but when you don't make much money anyway and leave society to the free market, then you're just going to get things like the American healthcare system on steroids, where the poorest will get even poorer and won't be able to afford anything because there's no safety net, where people like Dave Rubin, who have a lot of money, will be fine. And that saying that, you know, you get more conservative as you get older, I think it should be changed to some people just get way more greedy when they earn more money. Now, I found this clip quite funny. Andrew Clavin asked Dave Rubin, would you vote for Donald Trump? Do you support Donald Trump? And I love the way he dances around the question, because even for someone like him who has sold out so much, he seemingly can't bring himself to say that he supports Donald Trump and he will vote for Donald Trump. So take a look at this clip.
To me, he's turned out to be a really good president. He's done a very good job. He reminds me of the kind of boss you have who you sometimes don't like, but he knows how to run the business. You know, and I think that that's a kind of interesting thing. Politically, you know, you've changed philosophically. I've watched you change philosophically. Have you changed politically? Is there a point where you start to say, you know what, I'm going to put my vote where my philosophy is, even if it means voting for someone like Trump that I don't like that much?
Yeah. Oh man, this is the big finish on this one, Clavin. Good question. So first off, let me give you credit on something else, because I was also with you. I was with the Daily Wire guys the night of the election, and you said something that I have quoted it a million times because I think it was so on point. Everyone was shocked about what was happening, and you said, you know, what a beautiful thing in America that it shows you the flexibility of our system, that the thing that everyone said couldn't happen, that every pollster, every expert, everyone on TV, every pundit, that the thing that they just said couldn't happen just happened. What an incredible society we live in, that sort of thing could happen.
Freedom is so much more fun. Yeah.
How much more fun and all of that stuff. And that's not even, you weren't even commenting on Trump specifically. You were just saying like the reality of what just happened is so beautiful. To answer your question, I will tell you this. So I am a registered Democrat in this state because there is so much Democrat power in this state, and I wanted to be able to vote in the primaries. So I voted for Joe Biden, excuse me, in the primaries, but it was really just a vote against Bernie. That was what I viewed as this truly dangerous set of ideas. Biden, it was sort of like, just take the vote, you know, something like that. But I will tell you this, I also I voted against every single measure in there that increased taxes, every single thing. And you have to read them and they're completely confusing. And they say things like, you know, are you $500 million more for education? And if you just look at the headline, you're like, well, of course I want more education. And then you have to read. And on the bottom it says, and this will be intact for 9 years and then only can be repealed by vote. But no one ever votes to take education away. You just always vote to put more money into it. So I would say, in effect, I have no party. I don't think having a party is actually that important. There's a functional utility to having a party in states where you can only vote in a primary by one party. But I don't consider myself a Democrat. I don't consider myself a Republican.
So perfect non-answer there, where he basically says he's not going to vote for Republicans. He's not going to vote for Donald Trump. He doesn't like Donald Trump. And also part of his answer was saying, isn't it amazing that in America, someone like Donald Trump can just upset everyone, upset the status quo and become president? Or you could look at it in another way and think, isn't it sick that someone who has obscene wealth, who has donated to multiple political parties, has pulled the strings on numerous things, is also a guy who will take every opportunity to do a con job, whether that is scam people for his charities or universities? Isn't it great that someone like that can become president? I don't think it's great. I think it's actually pretty sick. And while people might like that Donald Trump upset the Washington establishment, he is a part of the establishment just because he speaks different and he's a bit unhinged. Like I said, he gave money to all these people. He was friends with all these people. Bloomberg, Clinton, all of New York's political and economic elite. Donald Trump was always a part of that. So it's not some big Titanic upset. It's just someone who is very, very wealthy, who has lots of political connections, had Fox News doing his campaigning for him. That guy became president. There's nothing inspiring or exciting about that. So there you have it. That is Dave Rubin essentially coming out as a conservative. What will he say next? Is he going to say he's a born-again Christian? I wouldn't really be surprised if this guy, and 100% watching the election, he is going to endorse Trump and say, you know, lesser of two evils, so I got to vote for Trump. Just like he said in that interview about Joe Biden, saying, I had to vote for Joe Biden in the primary because I had to stop Bernie Sanders. He's going to do the same thing. Of course, when he had all these conservatives and Donald Trump's son and all these never-Trumpers have essentially become pro-Trump, he is just going to become one of them. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Please like the video. Maybe subscribe to the channel. If you want to check me out on social media, follow me at The Tabernacle on Twitter, that is my main one, but also Facebook and Instagram. Check out my Reddit as well, that's another big one. So r/thetabernacle for my subreddit and u/Tommy Cahill 1995 for my personal Reddit. Check out my Patreon and WordPress in the description, and if you made it this far, thank you for watching.